What if your brain was already sending you quiet, invisible warning signs, and you were simply ignoring them? What if small changes in your memory, your focus, your ability to find words, or even your reaction time, weren't just normal aging, but the early stages of something far more serious? Hi, I'm Dr. William Carter. For over 30 years, I've helped older adults detect, manage, and even reverse the subtle brain changes that sneak up after 60. And I've seen it time and time again. Smart, active seniors who suddenly find themselves forgetting names, repeating stories, or struggling to stay mentally sharp. They think it's just getting older, but in reality, it's their brain asking for help. In this video, we're going to uncover the 5 most common early signs that your brain is slowing down. Not just the obvious ones like forgetfulness, but the more hidden, silent symptoms that often go unnoticed until it's too late. You'll learn exactly what these signs mean from a neurological perspective, how changes in blood flow, nutrient delivery, and inflammation affect your brain's ability to process and store information. And most importantly, I'll walk you through simple, natural ways to slow or even reverse this decline. We'll talk about foods that feed the brain, daily habits that keep your neurons firing, and one often overlooked change that could dramatically improve your clarity, your focus, and even your mood. Because here's the truth. While memory loss and cognitive decline may be common after 60, they are not inevitable. You are not powerless, you are not broken, but you must take action early, when the signs first appear. And today, I'll show you how. Let's get started. Imagine you're in the middle of a conversation with a friend. You're trying to explain something simple, like a movie you watched or a place you recently visited. But suddenly, your brain freezes. You know what you want to say, but the word just won't come out. You'd pause, you'd fumble, and eventually, you either change the sentence or laugh it off. It's on the tip of my tongue, you say. Sound familiar? This struggle to find the right word, especially nouns, like names, objects, or places, is one of the earliest and most common signs that your brain's processing speed is slowing down. It's subtle at first, a missed word here, a forgotten name there, but over time, it starts to chip away at your confidence. You may start avoiding certain conversations. You might stop telling stories altogether, not because you're no longer sharp, but because you fear getting stuck. And that fear, that hesitation, is something I see in patients all the time. So why does this happen? As we age, several changes in the brain contribute to this specific type of memory lapse. One key area is the left temporal lobe, which is responsible for language and word retrieval. This region naturally shrinks slightly with age, but the bigger issue is reduced blood flow. When blood flow to these language centers decreases, the neurons responsible for retrieving words become less efficient. Think of it like trying to run a race with less oxygen. Your brain knows what it wants to say, but it's winded. It's working harder to get the same result. Another culprit, chronic, low-grade inflammation caused by poor diet, lack of sleep, or even environmental toxins, can interfere with the way your neurons communicate. Instead of firing signals clearly and quickly, they become sluggish and disorganized. This affects your brain's ability to access vocabulary in real time. It's not that you've forgotten the word entirely, it's that your brain can't find the path to retrieve it efficiently. Now, here's the good news. This doesn't mean you're doomed to decline. In fact, struggling to find words without other cognitive issues is often called benign anomic aphasia, and it's reversible in many cases. Your brain just needs support, it needs nutrients, it needs stimulation, and it needs habits that promote neural resilience. So what can you do? Start by adding choline-rich foods to your diet. Choline is a precursor to acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that plays a major role in verbal memory and language processing. Eggs, particularly the yolks, are a fantastic source. So are spinach, beets, and salmon. These foods nourish the brain's language centers and support smoother word retrieval. Also, practice word games daily, even just for 5 to 10 minutes. Crossword puzzles, naming categories under pressure, or even storytelling exercises help fire up your brain's language pathways. Think of it like exercise for your vocabulary muscles. And don't forget hydration. Even mild dehydration can impair word recall. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, and add a pinch of pink Himalayan salt if you're over 65 and tend to lose minerals. There's also emerging evidence on the power of polyphenols, plant compounds found in berries, cocoa, and green tea. These reduce inflammation in the brain. Have you ever reached for something falling off the counter, only to react just a split second too late? Or maybe someone asked you a question, and it took you longer than usual to process it and respond, even though you knew the answer. These tiny delays might seem harmless, but they can be a sign that your brain's processing speed is slowing down. Now, don't misunderstand. Everyone has off days. Fatigue, stress, distractions, they all affect how fast we react. But if you're noticing that your mental or physical reactions are consistently slower than they used to be, especially after 60, your brain may be struggling to keep up. Reaction time is about more than just it's a reflection of how efficiently your brain receives input, processes it, and sends commands back out. It's how fast your neurons communicate across billions of synapses. And that system depends on several things: healthy neurons, strong myelin sheaths, balanced neurotransmitters, an adequate blood supply. Let's break this down. In younger adults, neural signals move like lightning. Messages travel rapidly from the eyes or ears to the brain, are interpreted and turned into action, whether it's moving your hand, answering a question, or making a decision. But as we age, myelin begins to degrade. This slows down how quickly signals are transmitted between brain regions. It's like switching from fiber optic internet to dial-up. The information still gets there, just not as fast. At the same time, there's often a decline in dopamine production. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that helps coordinate movement, focus, and decision. It's why older adults may take longer to start a task, shift attention, or complete a complex movement, like stepping off a curb while listening to traffic. But here's what most people don't realize. Slower reaction time isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. It's linked to increased fall risk, driving accidents, delayed decision-making in emergencies, and even cognitive decline if left unchecked. In fact, studies show that seniors with poor reaction time are more likely to experience memory issues within 5 years than those with faster processing speed, because both rely on similar neural circuits, especially in the prefrontal cortex, which controls attention, judgment, and short-term memory. So, how can you improve this? First, engage in activities that challenge your brain-body connection. This includes table tennis, dancing, tai chi, even video games designed for seniors. These activities force your brain to receive visual input, process it quickly, and trigger coordinated movement. Think of it as reflex training for your nervous system. Second, eat foods that support myelin repair and dopamine production. That includes omega-3-rich fish like salmon and sod, B vitamins found in leafy greens and legumes, tyrosine-rich foods like almonds, avocados, and eggs, since tyrosine is a building block for dopamine. Third, reduce oxidative stress. Free radicals damage nerve cells and slow signal transmission. Combat this with antioxidant-rich foods like berries, green tea, turmeric, and dark chocolate in moderation. Another powerful strategy: interval walking. This is where you alternate between normal pace and slightly faster walking every 30 seconds. Why? Because it forces your brain to adjust timing, coordination, and balance, all while boosting blood flow to your brain. Studies from Japan have shown that just 20 minutes of interval walking 3 times a week can significantly improve reaction time and cognitive flexibility in older adults. And don't overlook hydration and electrolytes. Slower response time can be linked to imbalanced sodium or potassium levels, which affect nerve function. Coconut water, lightly salted bone broth, or mineral-rich water can all help maintain neural efficiency. Now, let's talk about one surprising habit that might be harming your reaction time: multitasking. Trying to do too much at once actually fragments attention and overloads the brain. Instead, practice focused attention. One task at a time, one conversation at a time, one movement at a time. This helps reinforce neural circuits involved in sequencing and attention, which directly affects how quickly and clearly your brain can respond. So, if you've been noticing slower responses, whether it's during conversations, movements, or decisions, it's not just a senior moment, it's your brain asking for better support. And as we just covered, there's a lot you can do to respond faster, stronger, and safer. In the next section, we'll explore something even more subtle: losing your train of thought why it happens, what it reveals about your brain's memory networks, and how to prevent it naturally. Let's continue. Have you ever been telling a story or explaining something when suddenly your mind goes completely blank? You pause, try to backtrack, maybe even laugh it off, but the thought is gone. And no matter how hard you try, you just can't remember what you were saying. It's frustrating, isn't it? One moment, you're in control. The next, your brain feels like This is what we call a thought derailment. And while it might seem harmless, frequent episodes can be one of the clearest signs your brain's working memory is under strain. So, what causes this? Let's start with how memory works. Your working memory is like your brain's. It holds short-term information for just a few seconds while you process it. For example, when you're telling a story, your brain is juggling multiple tasks, remembering the sequence of events, choosing the right words, listening to responses, and maintaining emotional tone. It's a complex orchestra, and when one section falls behind, the whole performance suffers. Losing your train of thought often means that your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for short-term memory and focus, is overtaxed or undernourished. And this can happen for several reasons. First, chronic stress. When your body is constantly producing cortisol, it directly affects your ability to retain and recall short-term information. It weakens the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, and blunts concentration. Even minor stress, repeated daily, can lead to significant disruptions in your ability to hold thoughts. Second, poor sleep quality. Your brain consolidates memories and restores working memory during deep sleep. Interrupted sleep, frequent awakenings, or sleep apnea can all limit this process, leaving you foggy the next day and more prone to thought derailments. Third, distractions and multitasking. In today's world, our attention is pulled in 100 directions. Phones, noise, mental, all reduce your brain's bandwidth. When there's too much input, the working memory buffer overflows and the thought you were holding disappears. But here's what's important. This doesn't mean you're losing your intelligence. In fact, many sharp and educated seniors experience this, simply because their brain is overloaded, underrested, or underfueled. The good news is, this is one of the most reversible signs of cognitive slowdown. Let's talk about how to fix it. First, prioritize. That means doing one thing at a time, fully, with intention. When you eat, just eat. When you speak with someone, put the phone away. This trains your brain to extend focus and hold thoughts longer. Next, use mental chunking. This technique helps your brain hold more information at once. For example, instead of remembering blue car, grocery store, jacket, group it into grocery trip. By giving information a category or narrative, you reduce the load on your working memory. Another tip, pause to breathe before speaking. This gives your brain time to organize your thoughts before delivering them, which reduces derailments. Slow, controlled breathing also reduces cortisol and improves clarity. And don't underestimate the power of natural nootropics, brain-boosting nutrients found in food. Some of the most effective for working memory include Rhodiola rosea, lion's mane mushroom, L-theanine found in green tea. If supplements aren't your style, reach for food alternatives. Add mushrooms to stir-fry. Sip matcha in the morning. Include walnuts, rich in omega-3 and antioxidants, as a daily snack. Another overlooked factor, iron and B12 deficiency. Low levels of either nutrient impair oxygen delivery to the brain, resulting in sluggish thought flow and forgetfulness. If you follow a vegetarian or low-meat diet, check your levels and consider including lentils, pumpkin seeds, eggs, These support red blood cell production and cerebral oxygen. Here's one more trick. Narrate your thoughts to yourself. When doing a task, say it aloud. I'm going to the fridge to grab the milk. This small habit creates a verbal anchor, increasing recall and task continuity. It may feel silly at first, but it's incredibly effective. Lastly, reframe the event. If you lose your train of thought, don't panic. Say, let me take a second, or where was I? And let your mind relax. The more pressure you apply, the worse retrieval becomes. Calm recall is far more successful than panic searching. So if you've been noticing these little mental blanks, losing your place, mid-sentence or forgetting what you were about to do, don't dismiss them. They're not a sign of dementia. They're a sign your brain is asking for a reset. And with the right tools, that clarity can come back stronger than ever. Up next, we'll talk about another subtle red flag. You zone out while reading or watching TV, and what it says about your attention circuits. Let's continue. Have you ever been reading a book or watching your favorite show, and suddenly realize you weren't paying attention at all. You look at the page or screen and think, wait, what just happened? Maybe you even reread the same paragraph 3 times, and it still doesn't stick. This is more than just occasional distraction. Frequent mental zoning out is often a sign that your brain's sustained attention network is struggling. It's not that you don't care or aren't interested. It's that your prefrontal cortex and parietal lobes can't hold engagement as long as they used to. Let's break this down. Sustained attention is your ability to stay mentally present on a task for an extended period. It's different from alertness or multitasking. It's about deep mental focus. And after age 60, this ability can start to decline for a few key reasons. First, reduced dopamine and norepinephrine. These are chemical messengers that fuel alertness, motivation, and task persistence. As their levels naturally fall with age, your brain finds it harder to maintain interest, especially in activities that don't provide immediate feedback. Second, diminished frontal lobe activation. Brain scans show that older adults tend to have lower activation in the prefrontal cortex during attention tasks. This area acts like a spotlight. It decides what to focus on and what to ignore. If it weakens, your mind becomes more easily pulled away by irrelevant thoughts or external distractions. Third, chronic mental fatigue. The modern world bombards us with information, screens, alerts, background noise. Over time, this constant stimulation can exhaust your attention reserves, leaving your brain less able to engage deeply, even with things you enjoy. But here's the good news. Sustained attention can be retrained, just like a muscle, and with the right techniques, you can reclaim that sense of presence and clarity. Let's explore how. First, practice focused attention exercises. Set a timer for 10 minutes and choose one activity: reading, a puzzle, even meditation. During this time, every time your mind drifts, gently bring it back. This strengthens your brain's focus circuits and builds endurance over time. Second, use the Pomodoro technique. This involves 25 minutes of focused activity, followed by 5 minutes of rest. Why does it work? It trains your brain to anticipate rest, which reduces mental fatigue and keeps your focus sharper during the active phase. Third, control your environment. Eliminate background noise, silence your phone, and reduce visual clutter. The fewer distractions competing for your brain's attention, the easier it becomes to stay mentally anchored. Another powerful strategy is visual anchoring. When reading, use a pen or finger to guide your eyes. This tactile input helps your brain stay synchronized with your eyes, reducing drift and improving absorption. When watching TV, adjust the brightness, sit upright, and engage with the content, even if silently reacting to maintain active attention. Let's also talk about nutrition. Certain nutrients directly support focus and attention. These include choline, found in eggs and liver, which supports acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter of focus. Magnesium, which calms the nervous system and reduces overactivity. Zinc, critical for neurochemical balance. Herbal support can help too. Ginkgo biloba has been shown to improve blood flow to attention-related brain regions. Panax ginseng may increase mental stamina, and Bacopa maniri, an ancient Ayurvedic herb, helps enhance cognitive performance over time. Now, a surprising habit that sabotages focus: scrolling on your phone right before reading or watching. This rapid dopamine spike makes slower activities feel boring, even if they aren't. Train your brain to enjoy slower rhythms again by delaying phone use before focused tasks. One more thing: hydration. Even mild dehydration reduces attention span. Aim for small sips of water throughout the day, not just when you're thirsty. And don't forget eye health. If your eyes strain to read or process images, your brain compensates by checking out. Get regular eye exams and consider blue light filters if you read from screens. Now, here's a powerful mindset shift. If you zone out, don't get frustrated. Instead, say to yourself, "That's okay. I'm training my attention." Bring your focus back and continue. This builds neural resilience and reduces the guilt or stress that can further impair attention. So, if you've been losing focus more often, whether it's during reading, conversations, or entertainment, it may not be your interest level. It may be your brain asking for a little help staying present. And now you have the tools to offer that help, naturally, safely, and effectively. Up next, we'll explore a sign that many people dismiss, but could reveal deeper neurological slowdown: You feel mentally exhausted after small tasks. Let's dive in. Have you noticed that everyday tasks, like organizing your calendar, reading a bill, or even deciding what to cook, leave you mentally drained? Not physically tired, but mentally foggy, like your brain is running on fumes. This isn't just about being busy or aging. It's a red flag that your brain's cognitive energy reserves are being depleted faster than they should, and it could signal something deeper. Neurological fatigue, often overlooked in seniors. Let's talk about what's really happening here. Your brain, despite being only 2% of your body weight, uses up to 20% of your daily energy supply. Every decision, every memory recall, every focus session, they all draw from a limited pool of glucose, oxygen, neurotransmitters, and mental bandwidth. When this system starts to slow down, due to poor circulation, nutrient deficiency, inflammation, or stress, even basic thinking tasks can feel exhausting. Here's what contributes most to this type of brain fatigue. First, mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria are your cell's power generators. As we age, they produce less ATP, the energy currency of the brain. Less ATP means neurons fire more slowly, synapses weaken, and your brain has to work harder to complete simple tasks. Second, chronic inflammation. Aging is often accompanied by persistent inflammation that damages blood vessels and impairs brain function. Inflammation also increases the production of glutamate, a neurotransmitter that, in excess, can overwhelm the brain and contribute to burnout. Third, glucose instability. The brain is incredibly sensitive to blood sugar fluctuations. After a sugary breakfast or long fast, you might experience dips in mental energy, poor focus, and brain fog. This is especially true in adults over 60, whose insulin sensitivity may be reduced. Fourth, decision fatigue. The more decisions you make throughout the day, what to eat, what to wear, who to call, the more energy your brain consumes. Over time, this drains your executive function, making even small tasks feel overwhelming. So how do we restore this energy? Let's start with foundational fuel. Your brain thrives on slow, steady glucose, not sugar spikes. Begin your day with brain-boosting foods like steel-cut oats, berries, chia seeds, eggs with avocado. These provide lasting energy and omega-3 SAO that support cognitive resilience. Next, prioritize movement. Even 10 minutes of walking. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, flushes out inflammatory and stimulates the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which acts like miracle grow for your neurons. And don't forget the importance of mental pacing. Your brain isn't designed for non-stop thinking. Try the 3-to-1 method. 3 5-minute breaks throughout the day. 2 focused tasks per hour. Max. 1 relaxation activity every evening, like reading or listening to music. This prevents burnout and gives your neurons time to reset. Now let's talk supplements. Not as a cure, but as support. CoQ10 supports mitochondrial energy production. Alpha-lipoic acid helps reduce brain inflammation. Phosphatidylserine improves memory and cognitive stamina. Herbal allies can help too. Ashwagandha reduces cortisol and supports mental endurance. Holy basil enhances stress resilience. Ginseng boosts alertness without causing jitteriness. Another simple fix, breathing techniques. The brain consumes more oxygen than any other organ, but shallow breathing limits this supply. Try box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold again for 4, repeat for 2 to 3 minutes. This floods your brain with oxygen, reduces anxiety, and boosts focus. Let's not forget hydration. Mild dehydration reduces mental performance and can mimic brain fog. A simple rule: for every cup of coffee or tea, drink a cup of water, and perhaps, most important, sleep. Deep sleep is when your brain clears out metabolic waste via the glymphatic system. If you're waking up unrefreshed or feeling sluggish even after 8 hours, your brain may not be recovering properly. Optimize sleep by keeping a dark, cool room, avoiding screens 1 hour before bed, taking magnesium glycinate if needed. Now, here's something empowering. Mental exhaustion is not a sign of weakness. It's your brain asking for better care, better fuel, and better balance. And when you listen, when you support it, clarity returns, your energy returns, and the smallest tasks stop feeling so heavy. So if you've been feeling like your brain runs out of gas halfway through the day, that's not just age. That's a fixable imbalance, and the tools to reverse it are in your hands. Up next, let's look at one of the most dangerous myths about aging, and the truth about what your brain really needs to stay young, because what you believe can shape what you become. Let's continue. One of the most dangerous beliefs I hear from patients over 60 is this: it's normal for my brain to slow down, there's nothing I can do. This mindset, that cognitive decline is automatic, irreversible, and just part of aging, is not only false, it's harmful. Why? Because when you believe your brain is destined to fail, you stop fighting for it. You stop challenging it, feeding it, protecting it, and that lack of action becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's what the science really says. Yes, certain brain functions, like processing speed, may slow with age, but others, like emotional regulation, vocabulary, and pattern recognition, can improve. And most importantly, neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire and adapt, doesn't end at 30 or 40. It continues into your 60s, 70s, even 80s, if you support it. Let me tell you about Mr. Allen, a retired school principal I worked with. He came to me at 72, saying he felt slower, foggier, and fearful that Alzheimer's was on the horizon. But after a few lifestyle adjustments, daily walk-in, a brain-targeted Mediterranean-style diet, social engagement, and a new morning reading habit, his memory sharpened within months. He called me and said, "I feel like myself again." And he was in his 70s. The truth is, your brain is never finished. It's always remodeling, building new neurons, pruning old ones, adjusting chemical balances. But this remodeling depends on your environment, what you eat, how you move. What do you think? Whether you challenge yourself or retreat into mental autopilot. So how do you break the myth that aging equals decline? First, reframe your expectations. Instead of "I'm getting old, I forget things," say "my brain is telling me it needs support." That simple shift turns you from a passive observer into an active participant in your cognitive health. Second, engage in active learning. Start a new hobby, learn a new language, try an instrument. Each new challenge activates different brain networks, strengthens connections, and reinforces adaptability. It doesn't matter if you get good. What matters is you stay engaged. Third, reject isolation. Loneliness is one of the biggest predictors of cognitive decline. The brain is social. Conversations stimulate memory. Laughter lowers cortisol. Shared experiences create new neural pathways. Call someone today. Join a group tomorrow. Your brain will thank you. Fourth, build routines and break them occasionally. Routines save mental energy, but too much repetition dulls stimulation. Brush your teeth with the other hand. Take a different route to the store. These small changes keep your brain alert and adaptable. Fifth, protect sleep like a treasure. Sleep isn't rest, it's repair. Each night, your brain clears toxins, consolidates memories, and regulates emotions. Chronic sleep debt has been linked to reduced hippocampal volume, the memory center of the brain. So don't just sleep longer, sleep better. Sixth, monitor your beliefs. If you constantly say, "I'm not sharp anymore," your brain listens. Neuroscience shows that mindset shapes neural activity. Positive expectation enhances dopamine, increases motivation, and improves performance. This isn't wishful thinking, it's biology. Seventh, stay curious. Ask questions. Explore. Curiosity activates the reward system in the brain, making learning more enjoyable and memory more durable. Even just reading new topics daily can slow cognitive decline by years. Eighth, move your body. Walking boosts brain volume. Resistance training increases BDNF, the growth factor for neurons. Dancing improves balance, memory, and mood, all at once. Your brain evolved to function in motion. Don't let it stagnate. And finally, challenge this myth in others. When friends or family say, "It's just age," tell them what you've learned. Spread the truth that decline is not destiny, and that every day is a chance to build a sharper, stronger brain. Because, here's the empowering reality. Yes, aging changes the brain, but it also opens new possibilities. Wisdom grows, perspective deepens, and with the right care, your mind can remain not just functional, but vibrant. So don't let a myth steal your mental potential. You've come this far with a lifetime of knowledge, experience, and strength. Your brain deserves the chance to keep growing, and it will, as long as you believe it can.